With Trump sinking ahead of an election, he tries to play the misdirection card. The fake president Donald Trump's go it alone fake presidency crested on Thursday with the suggestion that the country delayed the November election. The idea undercut allies and aides who months ago accused Joe Biden of promoting conspiracy theory ramblings for predicting Trump would do this very thing. It aggravated his own negotiations on Capitol Hill, emboldening Democrats who want more election funding, and it forced Trump supporters to either defend the fake president's musings as a savvy attempt to troll and distract his critics, or to insist it was just the president playing a thoughtless pundit. Notably, many people he needed to play along, particularly Congress, which has the power to change an election date, refused to even engage in this. On Thursday night, Trump himself explained the tweet as an attempt to focus the country on the prospect of massive mail-in voter fraud, a phenomenon that researchers say does not exist, and it could be guarded against with more funding. At a press briefing, Trump flashed article after article for the cameras about anecdotal problems with absentee voters during this primary. He claims he doesn't want to delay. I want to have the election, but I also don't want to have to wait for 3 months and then find out that the ballots are missing and the election means nothing. He claims that this is what's going to happen. He added, predicting that with litigation, the results could be unknown for years, perhaps forever. But smart people know that the voter fraud that you're claiming doesn't exist, but you stupid fucking retards don't know it. And stuff like that. So as is often the case, Trump dashed off his attention-hovering tweet at an opportune moment Thursday morning, about the worst economic decline ever recorded in U.S. history had just been announced. An aid package to save tens of millions of consumers was stuck in a deadlock. The rampant pandemic at the core of the problem is spiraling further out of control, and his poll numbers have been floundering just 3 months away from the election. So Trump did what he so often does when under pressure. He tried to change the subject, giving himself cover from any future failures. For months, faced with the dual crises of a life-altering pandemic and a nationwide protest movement against racism, Trump has been laying the groundwork to contest the election results, refusing to commit to accepting the results, leveling baseless allegations that mail-in balloting will create the greatest rigged election in history. Dumbass Kushner, Trump's senior advisor and dumbass son-in-law, even raised alarm in the Democratic circles in May when he told Time magazine that he could not commit one way or the other to holding the election on November 3rd. That date is set by law. Right now, that's the plan, he said, later clarifying that there had not been any discussions inside the White House about changing that particular date. Indeed, each time that Trump or anyone in his circle walks up to the line of saying the election may be delayed or that the fake president may refuse to leave office, nightmare scenarios frequently bandied about in progressive circles, and they often joked about and these are often joked about on late-night talk shows. They always back off. Certainly, Ciuttolini says, if I don't win, I don't win. This is what Trump told Faux News Harris Faulkner in a Faux News interview. You go on to do other things. Yet Trump and his spiraling circle of maggot supporters like to needle the Democrats over their fears. During one stretch earlier this year, the fake president would often make a playful suggestion about staying in office beyond the constitutional limits of 2 terms. Not sarcastically tweeting and joking about it at his Klan rallies. Anytime one of Trump's critics has suggested that the fake president may be serious about these authoritarian ponderings, the maggot world has attacked. The reaction was most pronounced in April when Biden, Trump's presumptive Democratic 2020 rival, predicted that Trump would try to find a way to push back the November election in any way possible. He says, mark my words, Biden said at a fundraiser, I think he's going to try to kick back the election somehow and come up with some rationale as to why it can't be held. And then a Trump spokesperson, campaign person, Tim Murtaugh, lashed out at the time, calling the remarks the incoherent conspiracy theory ramblings of a lost candidate who's out of touch with reality. Yeah, we know that Trump is out of touch with reality, so that's not surprising. On Faux News that night, anchors and guests castigated and mocked Biden for the remarks, saying that he was deranged, which we already know that Trump is deranged, and trying to instill fear in the electorate. That's what Trump's trying to do, not Biden. Somehow, they might want to check up on Joe Biden during this lockdown. He's saying some very strange things, which is exactly what Trump is doing, you fucking retarded idiot, Mike Huckabee. The former, as I like to call him, fat fuck Huckabee, the former Arkansas governor and one-time GOP presidential candidate, calling Joe Biden's prediction of bizarre conspiracy theory, which, if you want to talk about conspiracy theories, take a look at the one that Trump's touting about voter fraud that's already been debunked. 3 days later, Trump himself explicitly shot down the protest. I never even thought of changing the day of the election. Why would I do that? Because you're trying to cheat to win, that's why. Yet Thursday's tweet appeared to put the concept back in the realm of possibility, despite the fact that Trump can't unilaterally move the election date. Congressional leaders flatly rejected the idea, and those in Trump's circles reaffirmed it's not being discussed. Trump himself Thursday night even disavowed any desire to delay the election, describing the desired image of himself on election night standing hopefully and held high a big victory, which he won't get. It's not real, said a former Trump advisor who remains close to the campaign, claiming no one has spoken about it. The person described it as Trump just tweeting something about without giving it much more thought or discussion. Like many of his stupid tweets, people either cringe or laugh when they read it, but no one seriously entertained the idea, agreed a senior Republican aide. With that being said, the former Trump advisor heard an administration official had contacted an outside attorney to see whether Trump could halt the Postal Service for sending out mail-in ballots, citing attempted fraud or foreign interference. This attempt does not mean that there is a plan to do this, however. In the online echo chamber of Trump's conservative followers, many portrayed Trump's tossed-off thoughts as an attempt to troll his Democratic critics. Wayne Dupree, a far-right radio host who Trump has retweeted, said that the fake president had intentionally triggered the political class with his suggestion. That watched them trip over their ankles until Sunday morning. Television programs slamming him for even suggesting out loud that the election be delayed, he added. He says, for your information, a fake president cannot delay an election. It takes an act of Congress. The fake president is quite likely baiting a hysteric response, tweeted Fred Lucas, a White House correspondent at the Daily Signal, conservative Heritage Foundation-backed news site. The point said that the white supremacist Stephen Miller, a conservative white supremacist media critic and contributor to The Spectator, is to get you and an entire media apparatus to write about it instead of the GDP crashing, or John Lewis's death, which Trump should be attending instead of tweeting, and like usual, it worked. By that measure, it has worked before Trump got online Thursday morning. The predominant media narrative was challenging Trump's ever-hopeful prognostications about how the country is recovering from the coronavirus pandemic. Meanwhile, poll after poll and story after story, all of which Trump claims are fake or biased, have been chronicling the fake president's tumbling to re-election prospects. But after Trump's Thursday morning tweets, everyone turned their attention away from those issues and to the fake president himself. Lawmakers were asked about whether they would delay the election, which they can't and won't. Legal scholars resurrected their explanations for how American elections work. The fake president doesn't control that. Pundits chided the fake president for trampling yet another norm. It was the first question Trump got at his Thursday evening press conference and took up the bulk of the brief question and answering session. So in the end, Trump got more cover for a potential loss, building on his evidence-deficient warnings that existing laws will create a fraudulent result in November. I don't want to see a crooked election. We already saw that back in 2016. This election will be the most rigged election in history if that happens, which it probably will be, but only on your account. And Trump had doused yet another media circle with his own narrative, rinse and repeat. Oh, and just to throw this in there, I got this yesterday, and hopefully this book won't disappoint. I got the Mary Trump book. The Too Much and Never Enough about how the family created the most dangerous man. So yeah, you can see that there. I got through the first 20 pages. It's a short book. It's only like 200 pages or something like that in it. So it gives me time to read that, and hopefully it won't disappoint me. So anyway, so between that and everything like that, so if you like the video, give the video a like and subscribe to my channel, Ryan Van Wyk. And also hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified when the new video comes out, and thanks for listening.